Hey, welcome back to the JMach Podcast, where our mission is to make veterans great again through community involvement. And I'm your host, JMach. Thank you for tuning in. Together, we can conquer our mental health one step at a time. I want to thank our sponsors, TRC, Total Roofing and Construction, and Arizona Organix, Arizona's first legal dispensary. Please like and subscribe, and remember that your mental health matters. You're not alone. And enjoy the episode. Hey, welcome back to the JMach Podcast. Today I have U.S. Army veteran Adam Bird, founder and CEO of Heroes Media Group. Welcome to the show, and great to finally meet you.
You as well, man. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it's been like a year or two that we've been talking on social media back and forth.
Yeah.
And finally made it happen.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having me today.
Oh, it all worked out because you're out here for the Final Four covering that, so the timing couldn't be any better.
Right.
So let's just jump right into your story. And can you tell me a little bit about your childhood?
Born and raised in Wisconsin.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you know.
Are you a Packers fan?
I am.
All right, end it. We're done.
Born and raised, man. Die
Okay.
hard, like cheesehead through and through. But it ended up moving to Arizona when we were 15. So I actually graduated high school down in Tucson.
Okay.
And then from there, after high school, I needed a job and wasn't sure what to do, so it was just like, hey, join the National Guard. So that's what I did. I joined the Guard, and I spent about 9 years in the Guard. Did a deployment to Iraq in 2003, and got out. It was kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah. Were your parents involved with your choice of joining the Army?
No. It was more like, you need a job. So I was like, fine. So I joined the military, and then when I told them about it, they were just like, why would you do that? So I was like, told me to get a job. And I was like, it's only on the weekend, so it's not like it's that
Right.
big of a deal, at least at the time. But I ended up enjoying it, and I liked it. I ended up working full-time for the Guard and some of the programs for a few years, and then I got out in like 2006, 2007, became a single parent, and I liked being a dad more than everything else. And then I ended up getting custody of my son, so it was kind of hard to balance like corporate life, my day job, and then doing the military thing, and then being a dad. And deployments were getting ready to come up, and I didn't have a family care plan, and at the time there wasn't much support. It was like, it's your responsibility, and I was like, all right, yeah, I like being a dad, so this is just what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get out and take care of my kid.
Okay. So while you were in the Army, you said you were in the reserves, but working full-time and like active?
Yeah, so I worked for the National Guard. At the time, the National Guard here had Army and Air Force had a narcotics program. It was joint narco-terrorism, I believe is what it's called now, or what it was called. Anyway, we would go around and teach. They had different departments, and the one that I was in was we teach kids about drugs and alcohol and the cause and effects of the body and stuff.
It's kind of like DARE.
It was like DARE on steroids. So
Okay.
like DARE would come in, and like 2 weeks later we would show up and give like better examples or different examples. But we worked a lot with like the local law enforcement agencies and community-based organizations and stuff like that. So
How did you like that?
it was fun. It was different being behind a podium and kind of teaching, and that kind of sparked my interest of like, hey, I could see myself doing public speaking, and it all kind of like, as I'm sitting here trying to explain it to you, it makes a whole lot of sense of what I'm doing now in my life. So I never thought of it. But yeah, I liked teaching the kids, and just and it wasn't just kids. It was nonprofit organizations, and I think the largest group we had was in Lake Havasu at one time. We had like 700 people in a standing room only, and I was like, okay, this is a lot of people, and it was fun while it lasted.
And then after that, what did you get into?
After that, I did mortgages for like a while, and then I got lucky and found a for-profit school that will remain nameless, but it was like the 800-pound gorilla, and it was they had a military division. So like everybody in this division we're all vets or currently Guard or Reserve. So I was like, oh, this is so me. And I got in there. We were selling education to people. So I'd talk about, I'd talk to veterans or active duty, Guard, Reserve, and then their spouses that wanted to go back to school. I would help them get back into school and get them into their programs and teach them about how to use their GI Bill and yellow ribbon program, all that other stuff. And I did that for like 5 years, and then we called it Black Monday. Back then, it was the Monday after Thanksgiving. They did a huge layoff. And this was in 2010, and there was like 850 plus people that they laid off in one day, and I was one of the people that they laid off. And I was mad at first because I had planned on just like, it was a great job. I was making really good money, but I didn't know what to do. And like 4 days later, I got headhunted by a marketing firm. So I did that for like 6 months. Found out they were doing some shady stuff behind my back. So I left there, went back into the education field, and I worked at Grand Canyon for like a year. And they offered me like management position to come in. They're like, hey, we'll give you a management position, come in, build these teams. I was like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. I was like, just give me like the low man on the totem pole job. I just want to show up. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to do anything. And I did that for a year. And then after a while, the boss that I had at that time, he kept on doing these one-on-one meetings with me. And I was like, then like 2 days later, he'd call a team meeting and regurgitate what I told him 2 days prior. And I was like, oh, I see how this is going. Like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So it was April 1st, April Fool's Day of 2013. I showed up 20 minutes late, packed all my desk, and I walked out. I quit, and I haven't turned back.
Okay. Before we start talking about the Heroes Media Group, what was the transitioning out of the Guard like for you?
It was bitter. Yeah. Because at the time, I guess this was like around 2006 time frame, I think. I was getting called back. I was in a unit here over at Papago, over at 52nd Street there. Loved working over there, and was in an instructor's position there. And the transportation unit at the time was calling me back, and they were getting called up for like a hurricane relief, I think what it was. And I didn't have anybody to take my son, and I was like, well, I'm not. I got a call from this captain. She's like, you need to report back. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I was like, that's. It's a hardship. It was more than 50 miles back to Flagstaff because that's where the unit was. And she's like, well, you don't have a family care plan, so you got two options. And I was like, I'll tell you what. I was like, take the second half of my re-enlistment, because I had re-enlisted already. I was like, take the second half of my re-enlistment and just, we'll call it good, because I'm not going to I was supposed to re-enlist in 4 months. And I was like, I won't re-enlist. You can have my second half of my first re-enlistment bonus and just get me out, because I'm not doing that. If you guys aren't going to let me do what I want to do, then I just don't want to play anymore. I was out 2 days later.
Okay.
They were just like, here you go. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, so like my transition out wasn't, here are your school benefits, go to the VA, here's your paperwork on this. It was just like, you're out.
Okay. So, but was there any... Jesus, I don't even know how to talk right now. You were already out at that time, or you were just doing the weekend thing?
I was just doing the weekend thing. I was just doing the weekend stuff.
Okay. And then when you got out, like, was it a struggle? Did you struggle when you got out?
I don't think I did. It's a hard one to answer, because it was everything was a struggle. I was a single parent. I had a house payment, 2 cars, and a motorcycle. And I was living well beyond my means, and I'm trying to raise a kid on my own, which that in and of itself is just funny. Like, God said, hey, we're going to let you be a single parent. Like, that's laughable. Like, I have no business raising a kid on my own, but I did it. And I think at that time it was just I didn't think I had a problem, but everybody said I had anger issues, and I couldn't understand certain things, and I didn't understand, like, people were like, why are you this way? I don't know. They're like, what's wrong? Nothing. Like, why are you upset? I just hated it when people just kept asking me what was wrong. It took a Vietnam vet to trick me into going to lunch, and he took me to the VA, and I met with somebody there and started talking, and started doing like the group thing, and I did that for a while, and it just wasn't me. So I found different means to deal with whatever, and the more and more I learned about how I deal with stuff, the more over the years I've been able to help other people now, whether it's find something to, find a group that you can go talk to with other people about it, or find something that works for you. For me, I'm an outdoors guy. I like to hunt. I like to fish. That's therapy for me. And if you're out there with somebody and they ask you a question, you're not so taken, not offense to, but you don't get defensive, like, why are you asking me about my service? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're more willing to be open because it's just the two of you. And
Yeah. You don't feel like your
guard's down.
You're not in a group setting, and you're not in a basement of the VA hospital, and you're like, all right, so tell me how you're feeling this week.
Right.
I'm feeling like I want to get up and punch you in the throat just for asking me that question.
Right.
Let's be honest. It wasn't for me.
Right. So, traditional therapy is not for everybody. Group therapy is not for everybody.
But it does work for, let me be clear, it didn't work for me. And I think what's great kind of nowadays is that there's a lot of different things that are available for veterans. And you got to find what works for you. And I say this with all the love in my heart to veterans out there. Don't think about, nobody's going to listen, and there's nothing out there that can help me. There is. And there's a lot of us out here that want to help you, and you can't be afraid to ask.
Right. That's the first part. The first step is just asking. Well, maybe admitting you need help, but just to ask that you need help. And things could be considered therapy that don't sound therapeutic, right? Like gardening, coloring.
Yeah. Especially for you Marines
horses
out there. We know you love the crayons. So.
We like to eat them more than color, all right? But yeah, absolutely. Brings it all back, right?
Yeah, it sure does.
So, so you still go hunting and fishing as your therapy?
Yep, hunt and fish, and now I've been blessed enough over the years that I've taken other veterans on fishing trips and stuff like that. We help a nonprofit down in Tampa, Florida that does a event. I own a beverage company as well, so we donate coffee that we do giveaways in their grab bags. And I've taken a couple guys down there the last couple of years that were veterans to fish in that tournament. It's been, and I go to, there's the Great American Outdoor Show, which is the largest hunting and fishing expo. It's held in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania every year for like 9 straight days of just like, if you're an outdoorsman, it's where you want to go. And I've met a lot of veteran nonprofits that are in that realm, or they bear hunts in Maine, whitetail hunts in Nebraska, fishing on the Outer Banks, and they do all of that, and it's completely free to the veterans. They just take these vets out. They got to fill out a thing and meet criteria. If they get name drawn, they get on these trips that are all paid for.
That's amazing. I have a question for you personally, though. Have you ever had like you went hunting and you were just suffering and having a bad day, and like, I guess what I'm trying to get at is like hunting and being depressed doesn't always sound like a good idea.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And that's a lot of that's crossed my mind a lot. Like, I probably shouldn't be out in the woods if I'm feeling depressed at X, Y, and Z. It's actually quite the opposite. When I'm out in the woods and I'm sitting in a tree stand, I'm at peace. Like, am I depressed? And I'm sitting there looking at, like, I have this firearm in my arm. Oh, I could end it right here, and I could do that. I'd be lying to you if I said that the thought hadn't maybe crossed my mind at one point in my life, but then it immediately stops because I think about my son because my son at the time he was my motivation. He's grown now. He's 21 years old. He's in college, doing well for himself. But it was like that was my main focus. Was I didn't care what happened to me, but I did care what happened to him. Well, as I got older, I realized, well, if I don't start caring about what happens to me, if I don't take care of myself, then it's not going to matter what happens to him because I'm not going to be around to see it anyway. So it was like I started realizing that I need to take better care of myself to ensure that I'm around to make sure he's good. So he was my son was my main motivation on everything. So anytime that a thought started to creep in, I was just able to recognize it, and I would sit back and just be like, I'm in the woods right now alone, and I'm listening to the squirrels running on the woods floor, or you just try to focus on something else, and eventually what happens is you realize, man, I'm grateful to be here, and then I get this opportunity to not be at work and to be in a tree stand, hunting Bambi's family. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but that's how. That's just the mindset you have to take.
Right. And what have you done to instill like a positive mental health in your son? Like what lessons have you taken from yourself?
Talk. You got to talk things out. And don't let your pride get in the way. I think a lot of the times for us men is we allow our pride to get in the way a lot of the times, and it's, I'm a little. You could see the gray. I'm a little more seasoned now, and I realize that, man, that's. You do think you talk about like, oh, you don't need to talk. You just harness those feelings and push it down, and just and that's really healthy. And then just let it build up, and then someday you blow up for no reason at all, and then you have no idea why you blew up. It's. I encouraged him to have a good line of communication, and if you're unable to talk it out, write it down first, and then let's revisit it on another day or later that evening or whatnot. But let's try to have a conversation so I can have a better understanding, because nothing's going to get fixed if you don't voice what it is that's bothering you.
Right.
And if you're not sure what's bothering you, great, let's try to figure it out.
Absolutely. Were your parents open to letting you talk things out when you were younger?
It was a little different. So my mom's first husband, I grew up not knowing my biological dad.
Okay.
So my mom's first husband adopted me, and he was a truck driver, gone, and that was kind of a weird relationship growing up because I didn't go see him once they divorced. And then my mom married my stepdad, who I call Pop. And Pop's like my dad now. Like, we're buddies, and I love him. And but I had to mend that fence from my adopted dad. So people would ask, and I always thought they were just being nosy. And I feel bad for saying that way. Mom, if you see this, I apologize. But it was just like, it was always like, well, what's wrong with you? Why are you like this? You're angry all the time. You need to do this, or you need to do that. And I got so defensive, and this isn't something I'm proud of, but it was like when people start telling me you need to do this or you need to do that, I'm like, you need to shut them up and just leave it alone. You know what I mean? Just let me be who I am. Don't try to understand who I am, because you haven't been through what I've been through. And that's how I was 15, 20 years ago. Now I look at it as like, hey, it's not their fault. They don't know, and they know that they don't know what you've been through. So help them understand. And when you try to explain to other people what you're feeling that don't have any idea what you've gone through, you feel like a weight is lifted off your shoulders. At least for me, I felt better when I was trying to explain how I was feeling, when they legitimately wanted to learn. They didn't just turn a shoulder and be like, okay, he's just being crazy and just acting out, just leave him alone. And when they were legitimately asking me, like, hey, help me understand where you're coming from. Oh, so you really want to know why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling? Okay.
Did you know why you were feeling the way you were feeling, or
No.
talking it out was helping you figure it out as well?
I think talking a lot of it out helped me out. I didn't know. And there's I'm not perfect. I mean, even to this day, there's days where I just like there's something bothering me and I don't know what it is, and it's driving me nuts, and I can't. I look at my wife and she's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm snowballing. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm anxious. My anxiety. You know how it is. You get that anxiety, right?" And it's just like, and she'll look at me. She's like, you need to go for a walk." And like when my wife says you need to go for a walk, that's when I know. I was like, okay, I'm not. So I don't. And that's like, if she tells me I have to go for a walk, that is like cue. Like this is non-negotiable. Like go for a walk. And fortunately we live out in the country, so I'll go for a walk. And I'm usually gone for like 30 minutes. When I get back, I'm just like, all right. And then she's like, "You good?" "Yeah." She's like, "What's wrong?" I don't know. I felt like there was an unbalance in the universe or some shit like that. You know what I mean? I was like, "I don't know." She's like, "But you're good now." I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "All right, cool."
Okay, so just walking and movement is what helps you
Yeah.
get through it.
For me, like I'm still kind of a gym rat, so like I found that working out in the morning, like I'm still up at like 4:30 in the morning. That was crazy, I know. But it's like I'll go to the gym and I get that out of the way right away. So it's like, and I usually have good days. Now, that's not to say like somewhere in the middle somebody pisses me off or does something that's just,
Right.
Go for a walk. And that's, for me, it's like just go for a walk because you're away. You got the phone. I leave my phone. I'm away from my desk and my computer. I'm out in nature, which is ultimately where I like to be anyway. So that's where I find peace. And it allows me to go through my thought processes like, okay, what's really bothering me? Why am I feeling this way? What's the issue? What do I need to do to fix it?
So when you're walking, you're actually talking to yourself?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Working it out in your head?
Yep.
All right, just not trying to avoid the problem.
Right.
That's always good.
Yeah.
What else do you do besides being outdoors and going for walks that you would say is a healthy tool?
Man, there's so many of them. There's so many healthy tools that are out there. Believe it or not, doing stuff like this, talking to other veterans, doing podcast shows. I mean, I've been podcasting for just over a decade, as you know. This helps. Thank you. And for a year. I did an equine therapy, and I took a horsemanship class, learned how to work with horses.
Okay.
That was really cool. Scary as sin as well. Like, horses are big animals. So you think, oh, it's a horse, it's not gonna hurt you. They'll kill you. Like,
right.
They'll kill you.
Yeah, they're powerful.
Yeah. But it was cool learning how to like work with horses. For me, again, that works. Fishing. I have to be on the water. That's like if I could just get paid to fish every day, I'm not gonna lie, I probably would.
Well, that's where your next podcast needs to be, on the boat fishing.
And we're working on that actually.
Okay.
That's coming this summer.
See, called the shots before I knew it. But I did a 2-week mental health course through the Wounded Warrior program called Home Base.
Yes.
In Boston.
Yeah.
And we went to a farm and we were next to horses.
Yeah.
And I've been around horses when I was younger, growing up and all that. But then it was completely different this time around, right? Like, you can literally feel like an energy, or you can feel something about being next to this horse, and it is crazy. But then they also make you feel so small, and powerless, because them are some big boys,
and they're not weak,
not at all.
They're rear up, and you're right. When you're on a horse, they're moving based off of the energy that you're giving off. Right. You can control a horse just by eye movement, by the energy that you put off. It's truly amazing.
And they are beautiful creatures as well. And like, that's a form of therapy that I never thought was therapy either. Just being around a horse or another animal. Yeah. It really can calm you down.
Oh yeah. Breathing techniques is another. So you bring up different things. I've tried tapping. And like different breathing exercises. And
what's tapping?
Like you tap certain pressure points of the body, and it's supposed to help you relax. I've done hypnotherapy, where you have somebody kind of like guide you through a guided meditation, so to speak, and they take you to like you almost have like an out of body experience where you can kind of see things.
So it worked for you?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's yeah, yeah. And I know people that have done, nowadays, you look at medicinal stuff. That's a big popular, thing going on. Microdosing with like, psilocybin and different forms of that. That seems to be really big. I did a series on that last year with several tier 1 veterans on how they went through different processes and stuff like that. It's out there. The big thing is if you're a veteran and you are having issues or you're feeling down or whatnot, talk about it. Reach out, please. That's the biggest thing I can tell people.
Yeah, and like I said, traditional therapy works, and sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But if it's not working, try something else.
Yeah.
Right? I'm in line. I have an appointment in like 2 weeks to do ketamine treatments, or to at least start the process and see if I am
eligible or qualify for it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
For that, and I'm actually looking forward to it because I just feel like something's missing.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Just talked to another veteran like 3 days ago about that.
Yeah.
And he went through the process. Worked really well for him.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. It's something different. Like, I'm not really afraid of it. I'm just ready.
Yeah.
But then part of me also questions, like, am I just looking for something to be wrong? Like, I've been so far into like mental health for so long now. Like, am I just looking for something, or is there something?
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to get some answers, or at least some clarity on like just moving forward.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, if I may. I'm going to take over
Nope.
the show for a second. But like when you say, are you looking for something wrong? It's funny that you say it that way, because for the longest time that's how I felt too. And it was like, is it just my mindset? Am I focused on one thing? How do we reprogram what we've learned? We've both been to basic training, right? So
Boot camp.
yeah. So we've trained a certain way, and we're taught certain things. So now that we're away from that environment, it's no different. It's just a different uniform, and now we have to kind of retrain our minds to do, whatever our goal or our purpose is now.
Yeah, it's just a little bit harder now to retraining our brain because now, like, we got kids, a spouse, or even if you had that during boot camp, you were separated from that for 3 months for us, right?
Yeah.
And it was instilled in you every day. You were learning or getting taught something new, right? So now you're trying to take what you're learning and put it to prac app, like real life scenarios, and it's hard. Like, I feel like I've been doing a lot better this past week or two, for sure, right? And then we went to the Yankees Diamondbacks game, and the Yankees lost. However, it was a good day, but something started to bother me.
Yeah.
And it's almost like what my mind was learned for so long was like, all right, your day's now ruined. But I didn't want that to happen. And like sometimes I go through all the methods I've learned, like breathing techniques, talking to myself, walking, whatever it is. And sometimes it's like I'm just so ready to be mad and stay mad. And that's what I'm trying to get out of.
It's easy to hit that light switch and go from like 0 to 100
real easy.
pretty quickly.
Yeah, because it takes a lot of anger and aggression to hold anger and aggression down.
Yeah.
And then when you feel like you have an opportune time where you're allowed to let it out, it just wants to come out full force, right?
Yeah.
I'm over that.
It's tiring. It's daunting, and it's not a good way to live life.
Right. You nail on the head, right? It's so exhausting because, like, I am just tired all the fucking time for no reason. And my wife's getting annoyed with this. She's like, why are you always tired? Why are you always tired? And I'm just exhausted.
Yeah, because you're pissed off all the time.
Yeah, and I'm always...
And you're not sure why.
I'm always in my head.
Why.
Yeah, the not knowing is such a struggle.
Yeah. It will get easier, but it's just like anything else. You have to practice at it. And I think, as long as I've known you over the last year and a half or so that we've talked, I've seen a huge increase in everything that you're doing here. The show has taken off, significantly in everything that you're doing here.
Thank you.
but you have to remember, here's the one thing that none of us want to do or recognize is we have to have patience with it as well.
You mean I can't just have one overnight success?
It's not like one of those where it's like, and then wave a magic wand and poof, there it is. That's not. This is a process, and it's a journey, right?
Right.
And we have to accept that it's a journey, and that there's certain steps that we have to go through before we are much better. And so my advice would be, if anybody else is going through this, does it suck going through it? Yep, sure does. But you know what? It's the mindset that you take with it. You want to be better, then you're going to have to go through some of the mud before you come out the other side better.
Right. And the sooner you're willing to face it, the sooner you're going to get out of it. It's going to get worse.
Yeah.
As soon as you face it, it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
But it's for a short period of time versus long term.
Oh, there you go.
I think my favorite saying is like, be like a water buffalo, right? They're the only, I think it's water buffalo or a buffalo. They're the only animal that doesn't run away from the storm.
They go into the
storm.
storm.
They turn and face it because they'll get through it faster.
Yep.
And I feel like that's a great motto to live by. And I remember my therapist told me something along the lines is like, as soon as you look at the demons, they're going to run away.
Yep.
I had this dream one time where I had my daughter in my arms and something like made me take her into the bathroom. And then all of a sudden something came charging at me. And I was like, oh shit, what do I do? The stairs are blocked, going through all the scenarios.
Yeah.
And then I just turned and looked at him and he disappeared. And the lights came back on and everything was normal. And I was like, what the fuck was that about? And my therapist told me, like, you're facing your demons in a sense.
Yeah.
And, like, they don't want you to look at them because they get scared of you. So I faced him and it went away. And
it's funny how that works when you say that like that.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And people that have to experience that. It's so easy to just keep running from it and hoping that they don't catch up with you. But the problem is when they do catch up with you, it's so much easier to turn and face whatever that demon is. Don't be afraid, because here's the thing, like you said, as soon as you face it, it's done, it's gone. It's,
right.
You know.
And it actually, you said don't be afraid, but I think it's okay to be afraid, but you have to be brave.
Yeah, brave. That's a better, yes, absolutely.
Because being brave is being scared but doing it anyways, right? So
I like that.
It's fucking scary as hell, right? Because especially you don't know what that demon is or what it means or what's going to happen to you, but like, let's fucking figure this out. I'm tired of I'm not going to roll over and play dead.
Hey, dude, like, how much is going to be enough? Where are you going to draw the line in the sand where you say enough is enough? My life is worth this. There's things I want to do. I don't need to be taking this baggage with me anymore.
And I think having kids has also helped me face this, and it's also brought up so many more, right? Because now it's bringing back my childhood, and I'm trying not. I love Mom, Dad, if you're listening to this, I love you guys, and I had a good childhood, right? But there's things from my childhood I don't want to resonate, right? Like I remember, and could be just my perspective, right? But my parents got what they wanted out of fear and like anger and aggression. But at a certain point, you're like, oh man, I can beat your ass too now. You know what I mean? Not that I was beat. That's not what I mean, right? But I don't want that with my daughter, because then I yell at her sometimes and I hate it instantly, especially if she starts to cry. And I'm like, fuck, I fucked up. And then I try to think about, okay, like, what did I need in this time? Like, what can I do to calm her down? Because me yelling at her is just going to be another cycle of us being aggressive.
And you want that good relate. How old is she?
I have a 3-year-old and an 11-month-old.
So I remember my son growing up, it was always knife hand, blah, 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 blah. And then, at a young age, I realized that's not working as far as like the discipline side of it. And what I learned is find at the time iPads and stuff like that, little gaming systems. That's what he was into. So you take that away, and then all of a sudden the end of the world happens. It's like, I'll do anything to get it back. Well, maybe you should behave.
Right.
But then I realized, like, I didn't have to spank him or I didn't have to do this. It was just taking something away that was important to him like a Game Boy or something like that. That seemed to work. But then at the same time, I think, for me at least, I would sit down. I'd tuck him in bed at night because, like I said, I was a single parent. I would explain to him why I did what I did, so he understood, and it made him feeling like it was a safe environment to where he could open up to me when something was wrong with him or something like that, because he knew I wasn't going to get upset.
Right. And that's another thing I'm trying to work on too, is being able to stay calm, and no matter how upset they're making me, I want to be able to stay calm so they do feel safe and comfortable when the time comes and they're in a bad situation or could get into a bad situation. They feel comfortable enough to talk to me. Like, I want you to recognize that I'm your father, but I can still be your friend. But don't think I'm your friend before I'm your father.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm still going to discipline you.
Right.
I think you have to discipline your kids, period. However you do that, that's your business. I'm not telling people how to do it. Discipline your kids. But when you do it, explain to them why you're doing it that way so they have an understanding, and then they learn from it, and then they be like, okay, cool, not bad, and that you're establishing more of that trust. But like you said, parent first, friend second.
Right. And like another thing I'm trying to work on is like talking about things, because I had the option to talk about things, but then it'd be like, why do you feel that? Like, what's wrong with you? Why are you this way? Or a lot of things used to always get swept underneath the rug and like never got addressed, and it just builds up frustration and anger in you. And one thing I learned is it's only going to take the straw to break your back. Like, you can go through all the hard things in life, and then one stupid minuscule thing goes wrong, or somebody says the wrong thing to you, and that's enough to break you. And then it just brings in a whole world of hurt. So just start talking.
Yep, that's the key.
But I'm also failing in my homework for my therapist. I'm supposed to be journaling. And what's crazy is I know the benefits of journaling, but I don't understand why I haven't pulled myself into actually putting that pen to paper. I think it's facing the demons again, right? Because they're in my head. Now it's time to get out.
If I may,
Yeah.
do you think you're thinking about it too much when you try to sit down and put what your thoughts are into words?
I haven't even sat down yet. I think I'm pre-planning too much. Like I need to put the perfect sentences out there to get it out.
Here's just a suggestion.
All right.
We got these microphones. You do this partly for a living, right?
Right.
Why not just talk it out, record it, and then transcribe it later?
That's too easy. That's too easy. That's cheating. I'm not writing it down. All right. It's just excuses. It's literally just an excuse I have, right?
Yeah, you got. I mean, you have an outlet. Like, use it. This is a great way of doing it. And with technology, you might as well. You're writing it down, but you're writing it down in verbs, and somebody else is just typing it out.
I think that's the thing is I don't want to be able to look back on it.
Ooh,
Like in my mind, it's like I'm actively avoiding it, even though I'm not.
That's deep.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like I've recently changed, but Corey, our audio engineer over here, he would send me the videos or clips, and I'm like, yeah, dude, bro, looks great. Didn't even look at it. Like I trust him enough, but like I hate hearing my voice. I hate this. I hate that.
Corey, that sounds like it's an open invitation to start sending him just some messed up stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why did you post this? You told me it was all right.
You said it was great. You told me you looked at it.
Hey, I have started to look at the stuff I've been posting, all right?
I'm going to send you a video, and it's just going to be the picture of the first frame, and then the rest of it's just going to be darkness and silence.
Hey, if that's how you want this podcast to go, then so be it. Because now the blame's on you, because you know that there's a chance I won't look at it.
It's a life lesson.
And I feel really bad.
And I take responsibility. Thank you, guys. That was my idea.
Well, I feel really bad because it's like I don't want him to think that I don't like what he's doing or that I don't approve of his work, right? It has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
It's all about myself and my self-image or my wannabe perfectionism. That's not even I'm never going to reach it.
It makes sense, but you're also the host of a podcast.
Well, what
So
I'm saying is already out there. You
you're-
got to make all the edits.
What you're saying's already out there. Your face is already out there. It's going out there. So, like, it would make sense to review it.
Hey, I lived it once, bro. One and done.
That's true. I guess that's what you got me for.
100%. So thank you. Don't worry, I'm getting better. But how have you been able to battle that in your own media career?
I how do I answer? I kind of take the I don't give a shit attitude
Okay.
with it.
Do you
I
feel
say
like
what I say, because here's the thing. At my age right now, I am who I am. I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm not saying I'm always right, but if I'm wrong, I'll admit that I'm wrong. But it's what you see is what you get,
Okay.
you know, and that's it. I'm too old to be pussyfooting around stuff. This is what it. Here's how it is. When somebody asks me a question, usually what I'll say is, how do you want me to respond? Do you want me to be honest, or do you want me to give you the answer that I think you want to hear? What when you hear that, what do you think most people tell me?
They probably want to hear what they want to hear, but I want the honest.
No, they want the honest. It's like, oh, I want you to be honest with me. Stop being pansy. Like, you've gone through worse shit than this in your life. What is it that you're really worried about? Everybody has chalk this up as a bad day. Go get some rest tonight, eat something good, get some good night's sleep, wake up tomorrow, put your boots on, and fucking go. Like, and I'm very I've come across as like very harsh sometimes, but here's the thing. The tough love, that's what I was trying to say. I would rather tell you the truth and you hate me for being honest with you than me being fake. I would think you would respect me, whether you agree with what I say or not, completely irrelevant, but you'd respect the fact that I'm at least being honest with you. And I think that's what the world actually needs more of.
I think you're right? Because if you give them what they want to hear, you're enabling that action.
You're not helping them.
Absolutely.
You're not helping them.
And I was listening to the Sean Ryan show. I want to say Colin was the guy's first name, from the Mighty Oaks Foundation. And he said he was talking to his younger self and saying about what you would say to your parents or whatever the story is. He's like, you feel like you're protecting your parents because you're not telling them what's wrong. But in reality, you're enabling them. And they're never going to be able to fix what's wrong or fix their bad habits if you don't tell them.
Right.
And as hard as that is, like, people need to know the truth. And I think it is hard because people don't want people to hate them. I know I don't want people to hate me, right?
Yeah, you don't want people to be mad at you.
But like, I can't support the way you're living
But
anymore.
if I sit there and I tell you what you want to hear, and you're like, okay, cool, he agrees with me, and then I'm walking off like, that mother effer has no idea what he's doing or what he needs to hear, and then a couple days later you're like, man, I don't get it, blah 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 blah, and then I tell you, well, that's what you wanted to hear, but then you're gonna be mad at me because I wasn't honest with you, right?
Right.
So it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. I'd rather you be pissed off at me because I'm giving you the harsh truth of what reality probably is, than for me to lie to you. I wouldn't be your friend if I just told you what you wanted to hear. A real friend, somebody that cares about you, is going to tell you whether you like it or not. That's a true friend.
Right.
That's a true friend.
And that is so true, but most people think the true friend is the yes man.
No.
The person that just
No.
agrees with everything you do, that helps you, enables you with your bad actions and that shit.
Nope.
But not the case at all.
If you're messing up, it's your job as a friend to be like, hey, listen, you all right? Because I've noticed that you've been fucking up lately. What do you mean? What do you mean? Oh, you're fucking up. And you're doing X, Y, Z. You're doing stuff you probably shouldn't be doing. You've been down. Like, let's get you back into a positive mood. Like, what's going on? Let's talk this out.
And I hate this saying, but it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Oh, yeah.
My wife uses that against me all the time. And I'm like, I'm just trying to be blunt like you. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
She doesn't like that either.
Yeah.
But yeah, yes. So tell me about Heroes Media Group. How did it get started?
I co-founded a podcast network in 2012 here in Arizona. I was one of the first all-veteran podcast networks at the time. In 2015, we shut that down, and I rebranded to what is now Heroes Media Group. And it started off as just a podcast network where I'd help other podcasters start a podcast. And then I got into editing, and then I turned it into we're a full-fledged agency now. So we do anything and everything podcast related, audio, video production. We do shows, we host shows for people. We're a hosting platform, so we have a website where we host for the shows if you're looking for a hosting platform. We help with, we have transcription department. We do email and marketing, so we help market your podcast and stuff like that. So we have a CRM system now that we just launched. So it's like a one-stop shop. So if you want to build your podcast, you need a CRM system, and you want email campaigns and SMS marketing and all this other stuff. We can do all of that stuff now.
Keep going.
Yeah. It's crazy, but we've been working on it for the last year. We just launched it this month. And,
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so yeah, we're doing that, and then some side stuff that we're doing. We're looking at building a couple of studios, or working with a couple other businesses that have office space. So we're going to come in and build podcast studios in their office space as well.
Okay, that's awesome. So what kind of pointers can you give the JMach Podcast?
Mind you, I've watched you from day one. I think you're doing really well. This is a pretty cool setup with the cameras and stuff, different angles. That's good. I think you got the nice equipment, and I think you just continually to be consistent, you will continue to grow and do it. You're putting out good content. That's really it. There's really nothing. If I had to pick one thing, maybe the ambient noise in the background. That would be like the one thing. But that's uncontrollable, not your control. As long as the audio is good, because I've listened to the show and I've watched the show, so that's all good. I dig the background.
Right.
This is the first time. This is the first time for me. So this is kind of cool. You're doing it right.
Okay.
You just need to be patient.
We are patient.
Good.
Yeah, but I think consistency is a huge key, and that can go into more things than just this podcast,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But being consistent is something that I lacked in the past. This has been my passion, my drive. Like, this is my why now.
Yeah.
However, it's also a scary why, because I'm exposing everything about myself at the same time, because I'm willing to share. I'm willing to open up and let you all know that, like, you're not alone. I go through shit every day. Like, this is a badass setup,
Yeah.
But, like, it's not all rainbows and unicorns over here either.
No. You're always going to have something. But you're doing it right, though. I mean, you're doing a good job. And you said the key word is your passion. If you're not passionate about this, then you got to ask yourself, why are you really doing it?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Like, I've been in this business a long time. I've been blessed to travel the country. I've keynotes, events, talking about podcasting and stuff like that. This business has been good to me. I enjoy what I do, and it's funny. People think, "Oh, you're probably rolling in the money." I'm all right, but I'm not where I want to be. But I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because my purpose is to help other people get to where they want to go. You focus on the purpose, profit, and everything else, all that shit will follow. If you don't have a purpose in life, then you're just going to stand there and spin your wheels.
Right. I was lost for a long time because when I got out of the Marine Corps, I didn't really have a set plan. My goal was to become a police officer.
Yeah.
Bought a dirt bike, separated my shoulder, let that plan go right out the window, and then I just had nothing. And I've been in and out of school a few times, trying the school route, had a couple different jobs, but like I've just been lost. And then this podcast is like a huge passion of mine, and it's actually therapeutic.
Oh, yeah.
Because not only am I talking about my story, I'm hearing your story, I'm learning from you, I'm meeting new people.
Yeah.
And
it's fun.
It is.
It becomes
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. How cool is it that you get to meet new people? that you've met. This is our first time meeting face to face, and we've known each other about 18 months. And it's like, I think it's cool that we have these opportunities that we get to do this. Today is a blessing.
Right.
Today is a blessing because we get to do this.
Absolutely. So you're out here for the Final Four.
Yeah.
How are you exactly covering that?
It's a tough job, but
tough job.
I accept it. I'm here.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, I'm here with the network. So Heroes Media Group gets credentialed through different sporting events and stuff like that. We've done NASCAR, Major League Baseball, a lot of different things. But I saw that Final Four was back here in Phoenix this year, and I was like, we're based here. The home base is still here in Phoenix. And I've covered the Final Four in the past several times, and we put in for it and got credentialed. So we'll go down, cover the games. I'll be there Friday night for the Final Four. I'll be there Saturday for they're doing the Hall of Fame inductee list for basketball. Saturday afternoon, I believe, and then there's some other stuff going on. And then Monday night we'll be at the championship game, and we'll tweet during the games. Obviously it's all copywritten, so Westwood One owns it, CBS Sports owns all that, so that you're limited on what you can share. You can't do anything live because somebody else owns the rights to that. But we'll take pictures, and then we'll post pictures on social media and stuff like that. And we'll do articles usually after each game. Go down during the press conferences. Sometimes I've asked questions of some of the head coaches or some of the players, but that's basically what we're gonna
Okay. And how can people find Heroes Media Group or find you?
Thank you. HeroesMediaGroup.com, or you can find us on any social media platform at Heroes Media GRP.
Okay. And I'm going to start wrapping this up. Do you have any saved rounds? Anything that I missed?
No, I think what you're doing is great, and I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm really proud of what you've been doing and watching you grow. So I appreciate you letting me be a part of this. I think my final word to everybody is like those of you that are out there, if you're suffering and you're just not sure, or you think that you're alone, you're not. There's so many other veterans that are out here willing to help. Put your pride aside. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Nobody ever gets anywhere in life on their own.
Right.
You look at every successful business person, everybody that's had any type of success in life, you look at it and they've had help along the way. So don't think that you can do it on your own. You ask for the help.
Right. And I don't know if you noticed, but I've opened up the podcast to not just veterans, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, no matter how different we are, veteran or not, we all have our struggles and we can all relate to each other.
And learn from each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a great point. And I say the veterans because that's what we tend to they fall kind of. We'll always do stuff for it, but that's the thing about Heroes Media Group. It's not just for veterans.
Right.
I opened it up to like community heroes or those that support people that need help. Again, it goes back to what my purpose is help other people get to where they want to go. So if you're non-veterans too, if you're watching this, the biggest thing is ask. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because there are people out there that want to help.
Absolutely. I appreciate you coming on the show, and I'm honored to
Thank you
finally
so
meet
much.
you and having you here. So thank you.
Appreciate it.